What is going on, everybody, and welcome in to the post-game show here on the Eagles Pinpool Network. We have Eagles Eric. I'm Ryan. We're going to be talking about the Eagles versus the Vikings coming out with a win, stopping the skid of the two-game losing streak to the Carson Wentz-led Minnesota Vikings. Just off the bat, Eric, give me your initial thoughts. What are you thinking? How are you feeling after a victory over the Vikings?
I mean, Hurts definitely saved the day. Um, when it comes to the offense, it did seem like, there was about 4 or 5 big plays that buoyed them.
Yeah.
And there was some stretches there where it was frustrating. The run game continues to be a problem. And I'm sure we'll hear from Johnny this week about how bad the run game is been so far. And one of the things that I'm sure will be a big talking point will be sustainability. And you get that 80-yard touchdown to Devontae. You get the fourth down play where AJ's route basically stopped before he got connected on a scramble drill,
Yep.
and then the double move to win the game. That's not really sustainable.
No.
If you can get first down runs where you're picking up 5 and 6 yards, quick little scheme wins like you saw the Vikings do.
Yeah. Yep.
That's more sustainable. So, what they ultimately did against a good defense, when you look on paper, it's going to say amazing performance,
Sure.
but under the hood, it's something where they can't necessarily rely on those plays long term. So curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. No. I agreed. I think those are nice flashy plays. Those are nice little sprinkle extra on to the offense, and they're great when they work. Again, as you said, not something that you can rely on week in, week out. Um, but yeah, I think that's the takeaway here is you have a run game that just seems all over the place. You had a couple of nice runs from Saquon, but and then you also had some really poor runs from Saquon, and again, how much percentage of that is Brett Toth, being thrown in there, center again. Thank God, you know, for Dickerson for actually playing. He managed to play the whole game. Let's cross our fingers on that. Now it's Cam's turn, which is unfortunately kind of what I was kind of hoping to give Cam at least a week or two, including the bye to kind of get himself because he's clearly been dealing with some things. Um, so maybe this was a blessing in disguise. We get a win out of it. Cam can take this week, take next week, and then into the bye. So he's going to have a couple of weeks to get himself a little bit more healthy. So I think that's certainly a key factor in this run game, but it's certainly not the paramount thing that's stopping this. So
Yeah, and coming into this game, I talked about when the Vikings know a run is coming, they trigger downhill aggressively and they're good against it. It was more in those situations where your formation, your personnel package, maybe there's a decent chance you pass, and then they were more vulnerable, and it didn't necessarily seem on the broadcast watch that the Eagles did very much of that. So it's
yeah,
definitely going to be something that we break down. Uh, Actually, let's talk about this one play. There's a comment in the live stream from his second comment. If you could flash that up there, because I want to talk about this. I want to get your take on it. They have a chance down at the end, 3rd and 5, and they decide to run it.
yeah,
Um, when the run game hadn't been working that well, Hertz was
sure,
playing really well at that time. Now, here's my take, and then I'm curious to hear yours. I'm not vehemently opposed to the run, but they didn't dress it up or disguise it. They just ran like a straight, what it looked like was off tackle play,
yeah,
where it was clearly a run as soon as they snapped it. Whereas if they had some kind of fast motion at the snap, what the Lions like to do is when they run it on 3rd down, they'll kind of like peak a bubble and then like a little draw play,
Yeah, yeah,
and they get what happens in those plays is the offensive line is able to get downfield to second level blockers, and
right.
you can get arc blocks from tight ends, and then you can pick those up. But they just did straight off tackle, and the defense just converged right on it. So the process I thought was questionable, but the play I thought was bad. What was your take on it?
Yeah. And, listen, I think, yeah, I think ultimately, I think this comes down to, Kevin Patullo and the lack of experience that he has in actually calling plays. I mean, I don't know what other excuse there could be for calling such a vanilla run in a very crucial spot that you get that first down and yeah, you're golden. And you're right. They just again, it was just a simple, off tackle dive play, and yeah, it was. I mean, I think we all saw that coming. So the Vikings certainly did as well. But yeah, listen, and I'm not usually not one to kind of jump all over, Patullo. I think he's certainly gotten it enough from the media, from the fans, and everything. But again, reminder, he is still learning on the job, how to be a good play caller, and he sometimes shows flashes of getting it. Um, Other times he seems like he's hitting Ask Madden and doesn't really know what is going on. So yeah, it's unfortunate. The run game seems to be very lost, and it's sad to see Saquon have such an amazing year last year, and then kind of come to this where getting 60 yards is an accomplishment.
It seems like they get up there on first down, and it seems they're like, all right, we're gonna try to get ahead of the sticks here, and they have some kind of miscue, and then they're behind the sticks, and before you know it, it's like third and long, and they're like, oh
Yep.
crap, and they bailed themselves out. Like, it was kind of reminiscent of last year where they'd get into these perilous third down situations, and then they would just make a great play,
Yeah.
and it's like, why can't we be on the attack on early downs? It to me it's way too like Denez Selman talks about this where football the way it's designed is the offense inherently has that first mover advantage,
Yeah.
and who you put in the game, where they line up on the field, how you move them around, ultimately the concept that you call the defense to some extent has to react to that. But especially on early downs, it seems like the Eagles just turtle up and they're like doing not much of anything, thinking, okay, let's just protect the ball, get ourselves in favorable situations, but it's not working.
Yeah. No,
So I
you're
would
absolutely right. You
last
bring
thing I
it.
wanted to add on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, of course,
Last
of
thing I want
course.
to add on this is if you look at what percent of the time a team creates a first down on a given down, the
Yeah.
Eagles, and it's been the last couple of years, they're like first down, rarely ever do it. Second
Right.
down, decent. Third down, good. So they like tend to depend heavily on the third downs, and
Sure.
then like we've seen in these recent weeks, they've struggled on third downs, and now the offense just looks overall bad.
Yeah.
So they need that get first downs on first down percentage to go up like by half, because right now that's where I have questions about sustainability.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, and the whole job of first and second down essentially is to make third down extremely manageable. Thirds and short, thirds and short, thirds and shorts. That's how you convert, and that's how you get your third down percentages up. Is by giving yourself third and two, third and three, and being able to run the ball and get those yards. Because again, as a good team that can run the ball, 3 yards isn't something that's out of the realm of what's expected. So yeah, it's definitely. I think it's definitely a mixture of this offensive line, the injuries, and I think it's also some of the play calling and the situations that we're calling these plays. That is, hurting ultimately our run game because I've always believed that the run game is first, and that sets everything else up. You can have a great run game that sets up your pass, and it's just easy from there. So that's why I think this offense looks lost. It really just does. But in saying all that, Hurts took it upon himself, I guess, to hit AJ. Finally, we have an AJ Brown's game. Now, hopefully, we can maybe quiet down the AJ Brown trade rumors or the diva, the this they hate each other rumors, whatever crap that gets made up every week. After having such an amazing game, Devontae 180 yards. I mean, it was nice to at least see something a little exciting, even if, as you say, not necessarily week to week sustainable. So,
So if you look at completion percentage over expected, which is like taking in the down distance, how far the ball was thrown down the field, and other factors, Hertz was way off the charts, like near 100th percentile. They overall, the offense had a 39% success rate to Vikings 51. So it is easy to look at this game with rose-colored glasses and be like, 300 something passing yards, 28 points against the best defense in the league. Amazing. But I would want to pump the brakes and say like,
sure.
some of they were like just a lot of these plays were like our players are better than yours.
Yeah.
You would just hope that the Eagles would be able to have plays where that's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, as we've said, it's those plays are nice. Those plays are fun. They're exciting. Get the fans jumping up and down. But you're right. It's there's something about this offense that's just missing, and yeah, it's kind of being able. I was at least glad that they had that nice 8-minute drive. That that was at least something that I could say, hey, listen, they finally had a nice long drive that was a mixture of running and passing. It wasn't just some large play. Um, so again, I think little things, little building blocks to kind of build on for future games.
So no empty that I could remember. No
I don't think so.
significant quarterback scrambles or any design runs.
Nope.
No like RPO dump offs to the flat really. So like no halfback screens. The like basically plays where you don't need to have perfect timing and delivering it between throwing windows and great blocking. Like you don't need all that to be in place for some of those concepts that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's where people get this feeling like, why is it like pulling teeth? Why is it so hard for the Eagles to string together a couple good drives in a row? Like it'll be amazing, and then three and out,
Yeah.
three and out, three and out,
Right.
amazing. Like,
Yeah.
and I've said this a lot, so it's going to be annoying by now for the people who tune in every week. But Ali Connolly talks about an offense. A good offense is one that's like a ball rolling downhill, right? But the Eagles, it's like this: boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, it's like the roller coaster. It's up, down, it's
Yeah,
up, down, it's up, down. Yeah, you can't get a good read on it because
and like I just don't think that you can depend on that. Like, yeah,
oh
it's
yeah,
great to have it, but the one thing I'll say on is those plays where your players are just better than you. And I will say this: let's talk about some good things. Their scramble drill looks dramatically better. It's something that we talked about a lot at the Broncos game. It was as bad as it ever got.
sure.
I think they definitely started to put renewed focus on it. Even though the Giants game stunk, the scramble drill looked good in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really good in this
Right.
game.
Yeah. No, agreed.
Hurts rolling out, hitting that bullet to AJ on the
AJ.
sideline.
Yeah.
That might have been one of his best throws of his career in
Oh
the
yeah.
scramble drill.
Agreed.
It
Agreed.
was a laser.
Yeah. It was perfect. It was third down. It was exactly what was needed, and there was no other spot that he was going to be able to throw that ball. And AJ again just whoop, Perfect. Yeah, you're absolutely
Do you
right.
want to put this comment from Bread Eclipse on
Yes,
there?
I
Three
was just
back.
about to do that. Eric,
Yes.
were the Vikings still running a lot of zone coverage? Would you say the game was an improvement for the offense against zone? From Bill Brett Eclipse.
I mean, without Prime Vision, I can't say 100%. But just like they're running back replays, and whenever you don't see a guy like directly attached to Devontae as he's going for 180 yards, immediately you could think, okay, yeah, they're running zone coverage. My guess is it was about 75% zone coverage. Um, and, it was amazing because when they attacked that intermediate middle, there was nobody around, and like
Mm,
that's the area that you have to attack against these two high structures. The play action, when they use that, it worked phenomenally. So, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see what are the things they're good at and why are they good at it, and vice versa, the things that they struggle with.
right.
And that's where it just becomes inexplicable at times that why aren't they seeming to put more focus and I guess amount of reps into the stuff that is conducive to the strengths and weaknesses of the unit.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so like it's every week we talk about all the things that they could be doing, and when they did do the QB design run game, they did a zone read where Hertz is going out here. Well, unless he's completely uncovered, he has no juice when he's going east west.
Mm,
So there, like he literally had a step and couldn't outrun a defensive end or linebacker. But
yeah.
there's ways to still run the zone read. I posted on Twitter the inverted zone read where if the DN crashes, you give it to Saquon outside. And if the DN stays, then Hertz goes up the middle. So that to me, when he's north south, he's much better. Why aren't they doing that? Probably to protect him.
Yeah.
But as Shane always says, I forget if it's him or Johnny. Like, if you have a franchise quarterback, you're paying this much, and one of their key attributes is their ability to scramble and run it. You can't just say we're not going to use that to
Right. Right.
protect him. Do you want to flip it over to the other side of the ball, or do you have more
Yeah.
comments on
Yeah. Yeah.
offense?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I thought there was some good in the bad and bad, obviously. There seemed to be a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz, but in typical Wentz fashion, he's a little slippery. Was able to kind of get out of what was or should have been perceived sacks. Obviously the Jalen Hunt play, huge. I thought I mean, I could watch that part with Jalen Carter, just absolutely swimming by his man and just crunching Wentz. And again, hats off to him for being in the right spot for that interception because that was perfect. And then just running it back obviously was huge and turned out to be pretty important. But um, yeah, it was nice. Honestly, I'll say this: it was nice having Dean back, truly back in some defensive plays. Um, he is such a huge upgrade in the run defense. And again, that's not necessarily any crack on Campbell. Believe me, I certainly love Campbell. I just think again, Dean is so much further along in that aspect. So, um, yeah, I don't know what's the first. I guess what's your immediate thoughts defensively? What kind of comes to mind?
I mean, they have a complete void at edge rusher. And it was funny because there was a time in the game where I'm like, where is Josh Uche? Because I'm seeing Patrick Johnson for an entire drive. And,
Sure.
like, all respect to him, but that he's like a special teams type of
Yeah,
player.
absolutely.
And then Uche got in and he got that key sack. But, there was opportunities where it felt like they could have sacked him, but like one side of the line's getting really good push and the other's getting zero at all, and then that's giving like an escape lane.
Yeah.
They're not able to just converge as a whole unit. they have to make a move. Like, this is completely unsustainable at edge. I agree with you about Dean. I was actually surprised how good he looked because the
Yeah.
injury he had is a really bad injury. Made some real nice plays in there. I think Campbell may have had a horrible game when I go back and watch the All 22. Just from the broadcast view, it seemed like he really struggled. The thing that bothered me the most about defense is they kept letting them get those quick outs over and over and over again. And that,
Addison, it honestly felt like it was like 5 plays in a row. You just out, boom, bam, out, boom, out, boom, out. But like, and I
so they
get
had a
it.
75% success rate on 12 targets to Addison. So they really only had two things the whole game going for them. They had the quick hitch over the middle to Hawkinson. He had 10 targets.
Oh
They
yeah.
had the quick out to Addison,
Yep.
and he caught 8 of 12 of those. Maybe he had one other play that wasn't like either
Yeah. Well,
he had a
exactly. He
one
did. He
deep
had
out,
9. Yeah.
and the rest were like quick outs. I was begging, call a cover 2 trap. Let the corners jump that one time. Wentz was
One
literally
time.
going to just chuck it no
Yeah.
matter what.
I'll,
I,
oh,
I was
100%.
disappointed in Fangio, actually. Like, why didn't they make an adjustment? It was almost, I forget, like, it seemed, I forget what the tendency was, but it seemed like almost every single second down they were going to that
Yeah.
quick out in the second
Billy,
half.
yeah, you're not
And they
wrong.
completed it, I think, every single time, or
Yeah,
almost every
I
single
think so.
time,
I think
except
so.
one. Maybe Wentz chucked one completely into the dirt.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah,
And then
it
they
really
get the fourth
seems.
down, and they give up the flat. So I was like, even in the first half, they were giving up the flat really easily.
Yeah.
So, like, Wentz throws it over the middle, it's a disaster turnover. He's gun shy about throwing it over the middle.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand why they didn't try to funnel more passes into the middle. And he was so confident throwing those quick outs against leverage.
Yep.
I mean, to me, that is like inexcusable.
Yeah. No, there was definitely an opportunity there to um, make a play. That's for sure. I'll say this. Ryan checking in. Ryan Swoop. Can I explain something? Sure. Go ahead. Start typing away, bud.
Wait, is that Ryan Swope, the NFL player? Do you remember that he was like a god at Texas A&M?
I
That
don't
would be
know.
cool.
Maybe we should ask him. Can we ask you a question? Real quick, let me get through some of these comments. Spread Eclipse. When still can't throw a screen pass. Also, Brett Chris, can they try Ty Robinson at edge or something? King checking in. Petula called a better game, or did Hertz play better, or is it both? Real quick, what do you think on that question? Do you think uh, Petula deserves some of this credit? Is it mostly Hertz that deserves the credit, or maybe somewhere in between?
Well, they didn't have a high success rate. The ground game lost 9 points almost expected points. Only 32% success rate. Part of it is because of predictable tendencies. Because remember, coming into this game, the Vikings were 25th ranked run defense. Now, getting Blake Cashman changes that calculus considerably, but I didn't think they did enough in the run game. Maybe you can blame Stoutland to some degree. Like, the blame game's tough because we really don't know who's calling the shots behind these
Right.
various elements, but that does warrant criticism. In the past game, remember, they had the two AJ plays accounted for 14 and a half points roughly.
Yeah.
And then the Devontae Smith play was worth a touchdown alone. So to me, like, I'm not necessarily like the double move. Okay, that's a good call. That was a good call. I'll give
Yeah.
them that. But like and then they hit the same double. They hit Rogers on double move twice.
Yeah.
So
They did.
to me, that's more like the players knowing maybe
No
they
one.
could
Yeah.
beat him on that
Exactly.
kind of stuff.
You're definitely right on that.
Anyone could sit that back there and say, "Let's call Sluggo." Like, to me, if you're trying to give like compliments about play design, it's like, "Oh, we know they're going to be in this coverage, and then you have this influence route who's going to grab this guy, and then you have this timing route behind it, and boom, we're going to hit him. Like, then I'm like, okay, really? And that may have happened. We'll see when we watch the film. But if you're
Yeah.
just like, all right, they're going to sit on the slant, we're going to run slow go, like, okay, maybe I'll give you a cookie for that and a pat on the back. But, yeah, not necessarily something that I would, give a ton of credit to
Gotcha.
Patullo
Okay.
for.
I mean, hey, fair enough. Ryan, I guess, finally answers us. I can care less if Hertz never did what he did today. Never asking for 250 to 300 yards passing or 30 to 40 throws in a game. Do not care. I hate the fact that that dies real quick. I just want 220 from him per game, 20 to 50 throws, 8 to 10 runs. I'm sorry, 8 to 10 deep throws per game. Also, 20 to 25 runs per game. That's a lot to ask. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah. 10. That's 10 deep throws. Sounds
10 deep
crazy. Uh,
throws.
but I hear what he's saying. He's like, okay, if Hertz and the receivers, if one of their strong suits is going downfield, you want to be able to do that. But remember, like a lot of these deep shots, those they got like ISO scenarios and win on double moves. I don't that you're not going to get that often. It's the way the Vikings play defense. Sometimes they'll leave their guys out on
Yeah.
islands, and the execution was phenomenal. So it's always this like triple beam balance between execution and play calling. Not really, because you can have both can be good. Just
Sure.
with the Eagles, that's how it's
Yeah,
been
right. It
been.
seems like yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, it's one of these things. I don't want to talk too much about like the game plan or what happened downfield that you can't really see until tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Get this comment from King up there
Yeah.
because we didn't really get into the defense that much. I think people
Routes
are
are
wanting to
still
talk.
very vanilla. Can definitely agree with that. It's Sirianni's system kind of thing, though. Maybe Sirianni has more influence over the offense than I think. Yeah, obviously, Sirianni has a hand in this offense, and I'm sure it's Sirianni and then Patullo kind of adding what he can. I'm sure it's mostly Sirianni in that way, but um, yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to truly ever know. Um, but it's also everybody's just oh well, it's easy. Petula's doing terrible. Let's fire him and let's move right on. Well, it's certainly not that easy to just say, hey, let's do a whole new offense. That's what training camp's for. That's what all that's for is installing these things throughout, and to just up and change it is not a feasible thing or necessarily an easy thing. It's probably very chaotic for the players. So, um, again, whether or not you give Patullo any credit for today or what, a win is a win, and sometimes that's all that's important, and that's all that you need to kind of get yourself out of this little funk and start to begin to build those steps towards fixing the issues on this team. And I think the defense played better mostly because the offense gave them time to relax a little bit. Again, having finally an 8-minute drive, I'm sure the defense was loving that. Um, and yeah, I think again you have that balance, and I think the defense plays that much better, and that again goes right back and helps the offense. So it's definitely a connected thing. It always has been and always will be. So
I got to be honest. I don't think the defense was good. They gave up a positive EPA to Wentz despite those turnovers, despite him having like 4 or 5 egregious misses that could have been big
big
plays.
plays, yeah.
Um, the For long stretches, the pass rush is anemic. And he was a statue. He literally just stood there frozen in
Yeah.
time, and they couldn't get him. And then a few times he's scrambling and they're missing him because they're not really converging. It's like one guy coming from the side and then he moves. Campbell, that terrible miss that he had.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Um,
That was bad.
and like, it's hard. You can't even really fault. I mean, the edge rushers, yeah, they're horrible, but like the secondary guys, they had the guys that had been in who had success against some good offenses. They really like let Wentz pass against them more effectively than Mahomes passed against them with
Yeah.
a similar defense. Now, maybe people say Nolan Smith is that much of a difference maker. But the truth is, he seemed to be injured before he went on IR,
Yeah.
and
Oh
he
yeah.
wasn't making that big of an
No,
impact.
he was not. And hopefully
Howie,
he's able to come back after the bye. Maybe.
let me ask you this, and I'm gonna open this up to the comments. It looks like we had like 700 something people watching this. Who do you want? Because if they don't go and get an edge rusher, they're basically putting up the white flag, in my opinion, and saying we don't have a chance this
Yeah,
season.
yeah, I'm agreeing with you because the pressure from the edge has been basically non-existent, and especially your best player just all of a sudden decides to retire. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a couple of decent names that are out there. Um, there's obviously the top tier, the Hendricksons, the Miles Garretts, the Max Crosbys, because, all those names are always going to be floating around. But, whatever that kind of, again, and I'm not sure who might be available, but that kind of next tier is where I would focus that kind of, just under the superstar kind of, level, but somebody that can come in and be a clear number one in the edge room and take some pressure off Nolan Smith, let him kind of figure it out from the injury and come back and have player A and Nolan Smith kind of drive the force from this point on to the season.
I mean, I think about who they had rushing out there: Hunt, Ojulari, and Patrick Johnson.
And Uche.
None of those guys can really rush the passer even at an average level. Uche, and I went back and watched his film from the last several weeks. He does have some juice, but he always takes the path of least resistance. Wherever he almost never goes through a guy unless he has like a Y9 alignment and has a ton of built up momentum, and he'll kind of bull rush him. And that's fine to have like one of those guys. But when all of your guys are like that, it's really not ideal. And obviously, they're not getting the interior pressure that they were last year. So, to me, like, let's just talk about actual guys. Trey Hendrickson, you probably have to give up a second for him. You're never going to give up a second for a half a year rental.
Yeah.
So then you would be committed to re-signing him probably for like a 2-year deal around $30 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? If you do that, you know what probably happens? You probably aren't extending Nolan Smith. And I don't know where I fall in that. If you could argue that he's an injury-prone player,
Sure.
and he's kind of he's unrefined as a pass rusher. Like a lot of his wins are off athleticism, and he's come a long ways. But am I going to feel amazing giving him $22 million a year? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's that scenario. Then you talk about the guys under that. So Jermaine Johnson, he would be expensive. He might cost a conditional second or a third and a sweetener.
Yeah.
He had a torn Achilles, and then he hurt his ankle and missed like 3 or 4 games. So he's good, but he looks stiff as a board on that reconstructed foot.
Yeah.
And unless he's going to get back to like near 100% health, I wouldn't want to give him a big contract either. So then you look at guys who are more of a bargain. Bradley Chubb. You could probably get him for, my guess, maybe a crappy 4th or a 5th like
I
two
mean,
late, like a fifth and a sixth.
sure.
And here's the thing: he would cost nothing against the cap. Essentially, he
Yeah.
would cost nothing in cash because his base salary is the vet minimum.
Yep.
So that's good for all parties. The Dolphins are a train wreck. They might as well get some picks for him.
Sure.
He
Yeah.
comes in. You don't have to pay him peanuts because Lurie was penny pitching in the offseason. And you have a guy who's competent out there. Does that fix your problem? Absolutely not. But
No.
maybe it bridges that gap where it's like, if you told me after the bye, they've got Nolan Smith, Bradley Chubb, and then Uche behind it and Hunt, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling okay
Yeah, a little
there.
better. Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chubb would be a guy that comes in and immediately starts, and that's obviously what you're looking to do is give Nolan Smith somebody to go with, moving forward. But
There's other guys. Arden Key is a name.
mm,
I talked about
sure.
him in the offseason.
Yeah.
He is a finesse edge rusher who doesn't provide much against the run on Tennessee. So like,
Yeah.
he to me he's in that mold of the Uches and Ojularis, probably halfway between those guys in terms of what his impact level would be. That's not really a needle mover. Jalen Phillips is another guy you hear, and from what it sounds like, he's going to command potentially like a third round pick plus something. I'm totally out on him. I think he doesn't look nearly as good as he did pre Achilles, pre ACL. Two, like when you stack those two injuries together in back to back years, and then you're rushing like you're on stilts, and anytime you try to bend the arc, you just get completely shoved out of the play. I'm like, that's the
Yes,
exact problem the Eagles have right
already.
now. They
Yeah.
need to converge the pocket like this. They're not doing that. So I don't want anything to do with
Yeah,
Phillips.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think that needs to be the number one, and then certainly looking at the cornerback spot as well. So, all right, let's kind of wrap this up. Eric, give me your MVP for today's game against the Vikings.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, this is the easiest decision ever. It looked like this was one of the best games of his career, even against pressure. He was making some phenomenal throws. Um, didn't miss those deep shot opportunities like he had in some previous weeks. Seemed to steady the ship when the Vikings had some momentum there.
Yeah,
I would like, if I'm gonna nitpick him, like some of those zone reads where he went to the outside were rough. Like he just is slow to get up to speed there. But the scramble drills, it looks like a 180, and that would be
mhm,
a huge development if that continues to be a
yeah,
strength.
yeah. No, agreed. If you're going Hurts, I think I'm gonna go AJ Brown. It was just nice to kind of see, even though again it was only 4 catches. It was just nice to see him involved and get
Over
into the end
Devontae
zone.
though, he had a career game.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
mean, believe me, I hear you, but there's something about Brown getting out there and getting involved makes me feel a lot better. You know what I mean? Again, just given the dark the dark situation that could potentially arise from continued lack of you know targets. So, but
Well,
yeah,
I don't want to
Smitty,
rain
you're
on your
absolutely right.
parade.
Smitty, dog, absolute dog. Buck
After
80.
the game, AJ, and I'm not trying to be a body language police, but as he's walking to the middle of the field, he did not look happy. So we'll see how that
Well,
ends up shaking
yeah,
out.
right.
But
Well, there you go. But
do we do on it 3 words? Because
yeah, we can absolutely. What? Yeah, if you guys have your Eagles 3 words, I know Shane usually is the one that posts the tweet, but we'll read the comments here. If you got your 3 words for today's game, please quickly run those out right now. We'll read them on air before we get out of here. Eric, you got a 3 word for us?
another out route. No, if I want to go on the positive side, I would say Hertz carried them.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your 3 words?
Um, Jeez. That's a good one.
Thank you, Carson. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I was gonna say it was something Wentz related. Yeah, it was like Wentz always Philly. He's always trying to help Philly. So,
Hertz
um,
franchise QB Missy Elliott back.
yeah. So let's
Oh,
see.
that was a tough one.
Our
And to
big
me, that
three
on that
from
real quick on that field goal, it seemed like it was bad operation. There was some shenanigans with the Vikings running in guys late, and then they're like clock's ticking down and kind of looked rushed, and then he just blocked it right
yeah,
after that 3rd and 5. That was a brutal stretch.
yeah. Agreed.
Michael
Yeah,
Clay, he has some explaining to do. Special teams had some rough
yeah.
plays
It's
there.
it's pretty brutal.
Xavier Gibson though, let's
Yeah,
go.
glad to see him out there. Hopefully, we'll get more of him. That's for sure. Brett Eclipse says, "Thanks again, Wentz." Q, Missy Elliott back. I feel like that needs a little more information.
Jake Elliott, that's what he's talking about.
Uh, got it. Hertz franchise QB. King says, totally not detailed. And the Sam Squanch says, fix the run. Well, these are all. Oh, geez. King also says, really bad coaching. Yikes. Okay.
So, all right, before we get out of here, I'm sure you'll see a past game review from Shane. You'll see some discussion about the run game from Johnny. So I think I'm gonna start taking over ownership of the defense. So
Okay.
tomorrow, probably by the end of the day, expect some kind of defensive review with some
Nice.
film and some grades on Twitter. So anything you guys are interested in, you can always reach out to us, send us messages, tweet at us, and
Yeah.
we're happy to go and answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out to Eagles Eric on X or myself right here below, or of course on Eagles Pinball Network, wherever you are watching, whether YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, or you're going to be listening later on Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. So we appreciate all the likes, all this, the shares, the subscribes, the follows, etc., all the ratings, whatever you guys do. Hit all the buttons, do whatever the internet tells you to do. Give us all the 5 stars and share us out with your people. We appreciate y'all for that. So we're gonna get on out of here. Great to be in the win column here. Finally, again, after the 2-game skid. And now it's up to getting a little revenge against the Giants at the Link next Sunday. So stay tuned for, we'll have post game for that as well. Obviously, stay tuned throughout the week for all of the shows on the Eagles Pinball Network. Eric, when are you live this week? Upcoming.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be Thursday night or 7:30 to 8 Eastern.
Perfect.
And the good thing is there's not much film that I'll need to watch because I already watched the Giants exhaustively just last week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of focus in on what are the things that both sides of the ball can do to continue improving. Seems like defense is starting to become a little bit more of a concern now. What can they do
Sure.
if they don't bolster this edge rush? And now they're not getting unblocked pressures when they're blitzing either. So they might need some more creative strategies to create pressure.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, like I said, make sure you are tuned in to the Eagles Pinball Network this week. We got a bevy of shows throughout the week, so stay tuned. Log in, share it, like it, follow it, comment, join us during our lives. That is the best way to do this. We enjoy kind of conversing back and forth with you guys. So appreciate everybody that's in the chat. Sorry we couldn't get to as many as the comments as we wanted to because I'm terrible at this. So that's it for us. Eric, anything to add before we pop on out of here and enjoy this win?
when we just make suggestions, it's not like we're just yelling into the wind. They hit that double post against AJ. That was something I put in my preview. Makuba had the interception. So I just a little bit of a brag there where sometimes when they run the concepts that me, Johnny, Shane, you suggest, they're successful. So hopefully the fans are appreciating that and we can continue to do so going forward.
There you go. Awesome. All right, y'all. Well, we're heading out. Thank you all so much for joining us. Enjoy the win, and as always, go Birds. Have a great night, everybody.